The Old Guard. I really enjoyed this movie. I guess the deep philosophical question is, did I really enjoy this movie because it's 2020 and things aren't coming out on the big screen and finally something new has come out that is in the genre that I really like and enjoy, and so I was just so excited to see it again? Or is it really just genuinely that good? Let's talk about it. Welcome to Durbania. I'm Durbin, and this is my spoiler-free review for the Netflix original movie, The Old Guard. I really did enjoy this movie. I could tell by the trailer that this was just within the genre of stuff that I really enjoy. I mean, you got the characters that seem to have a special power, you know, kind of like a superhero. They heal, they're like immortals, and so you have that special ability, which gives you an interesting mythology, and it looked like it was action-packed. And, you know, it's the year 2020, okay? I'm starved for a new movie that kind of has that supernatural mythological base with some awesome fun action, and I've been waiting, and when I saw this trailer I was like, okay, I'm excited to watch this movie. And when I watched it this morning, I was not disappointed, and I'm giving this movie an A-. Now maybe that A- is me being just even more excited that I got a film in the genre that I like in the year 2020. I got something new to watch that didn't disappoint me. That might be. So maybe it falls more in the B+ range, but I would not go lower than a B+. Because for me, if something's from an A+ all the way down to a B+, that's something I'd like to watch again pretty soon and I'd like to own. The fact that it's on Netflix, it's kind of like I own it, and my wife didn't watch it with me today, and I'm excited to watch it again with her this weekend because I really did enjoy this movie. You have Charlize Theron. You have Charlize, who plays this character, Andy, who's put together these group of people who are basically immortal, who have this power to heal. And what I think is interesting about this is it attaches you to the team. I mean, they do a great job getting you attached to this group right from the beginning. Because when you see the mission they select at the beginning of this movie, it endears you to them because it's a good mission they're selecting. You see that they really are heroes and they really are trying to fight for the good of the world. And when they go on that mission, the action sequence that goes on is incredible because you just see how they've perfected this. You see how good they are. So they do a really good job establishing this group, establishing their character, and establishing how good they are through a fantastic action sequence. So when it builds up to that first moment when they resurrect for the first time, it is flippin' epic. So they did a great job with all of that and telling that story and showing us that and keeping me interested and wanting to know what was going to happen next. Where is this story going to go? Each character, they did a good job giving you enough of their past that it would attach you to the character more. It would give the characters depth, it would give them an arc, and it would give them development. But they also left enough up to mystery because they're all old. So they've lived for a long time. So it left enough to the imagination, so it's intriguing. And that is what made the action just so much more fun. Now, how do you take characters that are basically immortal, that have this special ability, and how do you put them in a situation where the stakes are real and the stakes are high? Well, I feel like they did a good job with that in this movie. So they bring in this character, Niall, and she is the new one. She is born in our time with this special ability that she will go on for hundreds of years. And the way that this team discovers her, the way she knows of this team's existence, was interesting and added to the mythology of these characters. And the way they came together, we got to see through Niall what this is like. So Niall was us, the audience, as we're learning about these characters, we're learning about their lives, we're learning about their history. And so it was really cool to get this through Niall's experience while she's learning what she's capable of and what she can heal from. And so there was a lot of stuff about that that I thought was interesting. Plus, again, Niall, like all the rest of the characters, was an interesting character. I liked her personality, I was rooting for her. And so because I was rooting for each character, number one, that raised the stakes. Number two, the fact that you had complex villains. Like you had one villain, this is the villain. Like you could tell, like you don't like him. You know he's the villain. But his motivation is like, well, I get that. They're immortal. He wants to unlock that key. But he wants to unlock that key not really to save humanity. He wants to do it for his own gain. And so he's a true bad guy, but there's a little bit of complexity to the issue. And then you had certain bad guy characters around there that weren't exactly true bad guys, but it was just interesting the way that they did it. And so I did enjoy that aspect of it, but they did a good job of showing you how the stakes were high, even for these characters that have this ability and have this power. In fact, they did a good job showing you what it is these characters actually do fear, and knowing what they actually do fear raised the stakes a little bit. Plus, they did a good job with Andy. Andy is our main character. That's Charlize. And she's the oldest of them all. And one thing that was really cool is digging a little bit into her history. They were able to lay groundwork for a sequel, or lay groundwork maybe for a franchise, but one that I would be interested in. And so it was really cool how they laid that groundwork while continuing to tell the story of this movie and keeping me engaged with the plot of what's going on. And then when it was over, I was like, yeah, you know what? I want the sequel. I want that story. I want that story that you set up. Give me that next. That sounds really, really cool. And so overall, I thought it was well done. And I am looking forward to another movie. Now, what I'm about to do right now, I don't think is spoiler territory, and I'm going to do my best to keep it vague. But if any part of you is concerned about even the slightest bit that could be a spoiler, I'm going to count backwards from 3, and then you can hit pause here, watch later, check out the movie, come back, and see this part. So here we go. Again, I'm going to keep it as vague as possible to avoid spoilers, but if you're remotely concerned, you can't say I didn't warn you. In 3, 2, 1. One of the things that I really liked about this movie is the character arc of Andy, because what you have with Andy is somebody at the beginning of this movie who has lived who knows how long, and she is discouraged, and she's got thousands of years of discouragement because she feels like for all the good she's tried to do, she hasn't done any good, because the world, you see it on the news, you see it everywhere, it's just a wicked, evil place. But what was interesting about her is there's a moment of reveal in this movie where you see she's done a lot of good. She would save somebody, and that somebody didn't become anybody famous, but that somebody laid some groundwork, and their child or their grandchild grew up and became somebody that made an impact on the world. So there are little things that Andy didn't see. And so she didn't recognize her contribution to the good in the world, but because of the people she saved, the world reaped those good benefits. And so I thought it was a very cool moral that she was faithful to stand for good and continue to do good, even when she didn't see the fruit of that good. And over thousands of years, she didn't recognize that fruit, yet it was there, and the world benefited from it. From people she saved that didn't become super big and famous, yet their contributions to the world saved the world in a lot of ways. And without her, they wouldn't have been there, and their contributions to the world wouldn't have been there. So it's very cool to see the ripple effect of her faithfulness to stand for good and fight for good. And so I enjoyed that moral because it's encouraging to remind us that we might feel like we have very little impact on the world, but what we don't realize is truly how big that impact could be. So we got to stay faithful and not grow weary in doing good. And so I enjoyed this movie. I enjoyed the action, I enjoyed the characters, and I enjoyed that message that I found in the movie. So what did you think of The Old Guard on Netflix? Let's talk about that in the comments. And while you're there, hit that subscribe button to become a Durbanian, and hit the bell by the subscribe button so you're notified the next time I drop a movie review, ranking video, theological analysis, or anything else I do here. I'm Durbin. Thanks for checking out Durbania.